everybody, and welcome to video 1 in our Christmas Botanical series. This is a kit by CollageType, and it's a little bit different than what we normally do, so we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a quick little flip through, and then we'll come back once I finish cutting out the ephemera. It's 8 backing pages. 1, 2, 3. I think it's 5, 6, no, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 backing pages, and then 14 pages of ephemera for a total of 22 pages. Now, I actually went ahead and cut up 2 or 3 pages of the ephemera and then realized I hadn't done this flip through. So we're going to look at some of the ephemera real quick before we look at the papers. Now, we've got 2 pretty cool Santas. And then we have some very pretty birds. Looks like I've got to trim this one little guy. He's got a little fuzzy on his head. And we have a pine cone. We have some flowers and some greenery. Then we have some of these large words. Believe and snow and Christmas and cardinal. Then we have 4 pockets, 4 angled pockets. Then we have quite a few of these with the border around them, just different various ephemera. Oops. So we have those. Yes, I sort my ephemera. And then we have 3 of these, 2 Christmases, and a couple of birds and a flower. Okay, so that's what I have cut up so far, because this is what I did on my scan and cut, except for these pockets I did by hand. All of this, all the rest of this ephemera, I'm going to have to cut by hand. So first, let's look at the backing papers. There's this beautiful paper with the birds, and another paper with the birds. There's a background that is the green that looks like a paint roller, and this is just a darker version of that with some birds on it. Oh, here it is, right here. Now, I've already printed front and back, and there was a method to my madness, and I don't remember exactly what it was at this moment. Oh, because there were several that I printed out the same front and back, and then there was some that I didn't. So this is another one of the backing pages. If you hear a bunch of noise, it's because the largest fly I have ever had in my house is flying around. And Oz behaves like a cat. He will chase a fly all around the house till he gets it trapped against the sliding door, and then he catches it and eats it. So that's what the ruckus is going on in the background. So then we have this other beautiful collage page. And it has the same backing as the other. Then there's this page that says Christmas on the bottom. And I think I need to print one of these to where it's this on both sides. Yeah. And then we have this backing paper. Camera seems awful close. And then we have this one. And it's the same on the front and the back, I believe. Yes. And then this is the one I showed you. And I showed you this one too. Okay. So then these are coin envelopes, which are similar to seed envelopes. Sometimes you call them that. And they have Santas on them that match the Santas that we cut out. Then here's a It's like a folder, but it's got a gusset. You can actually sew something in, which we might do. And here's a big envelope, manila folder type shape. It's very pretty. And I printed the backs of all these. These I did not print the backs of because they're glued down onto a page. And they don't need a backing color. And this you can either cut in half or you can fold in half. Either way. You can't really fold it this way because then one of your pictures is upside down. So you can cut it apart into fours. You can leave it and fold it in half, or you can just, you can cut it in half this way and fold them in half like that. So there's a bunch of different ways. These are tags, and they have spaces to put words or spaces for you to cut out, but I would probably just put a word there. Here's some more pockets, and then a card with a cardinal, and some tags. Some cards. I don't know if you can see or not, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2 that way. So that means there's 8 altogether. Once again, you can fold them sideways. You can't really fold them up and down because it makes the back picture backwards or upside down. Okay. And then here's the same. You can fold these several different ways. These are pretty. And then this large envelope. And we'll probably put this together and then decorate it. And then use the solid papers and make something with those. And then make the envelopes and the folders and decorate those. We're probably just going to do 2 videos in this series, maybe 3. And just decorate some ephemera to help you out for Christmas time. Okay, all right, well that's it for the first part of this video, and I'll be back in the second part of the video, and we'll get started once I get done cutting up the rest of the ephemera. Okay, we're back. Now it looks like I have a big mess here, and I kind of do. What we're going to talk about right now, we're not going to worry about the backing papers, except for to say that I did print on the back of everything before I cut it out. What I wanted to talk to you about right now is a friend of mine asked me, how do you put these envelopes and stuff together? And I said, well, some people put directions on the pages and then that tells you how to do it. So now let me show you what usually happens, to me anyway, is once I get done cutting something out, there were 2 on this page, okay? So I cut one out, then I cut the other out, and then this is what my directions looked like. So, yeah. So you need to either read it and memorize it, or already know how to put these together, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Now you can also, let's just get rid of these directions because we're not going to be able to use them because, well, they're cut up into pieces. The other thing you can do is be very careful, and I cut through part of it, and then I remembered I wanted to do one this way. You can be very careful. I have to go in at an angle to start out on a rounded part, so I did cut through this a little bit. But you can be careful and cut it out so that you have the directions, and you can lay this on here and you can look at it and see, because once you cut this off, it doesn't say fold 1, 2, 3, or 4 anymore. All you have are these directions and no indication as to what they are. And it's not the designer's fault. I mean, you have to cut it out, and they want to help you by telling you how to do it. But once you do one, then you have a problem with the other. Okay? So you can be very careful and cut it out, and then you've got your directions right here. Okay, so now it says envelope. You can print on the opposite side of this sheet before cutting out the envelope. Then fold edges 1, 2, 3, and 4 towards the back side. Glue the front side of the edges 1 and 2 about 3/4 of the way up to the top, leaving the top section of those edges not glued. Bring the bottom fold up and press directly onto the glued edges of 1 and 2. Fold down the top. Okay, now to my friend, she said that she did not understand that. So let's put this one together, and I will show you by the directions what she's saying. Okay, so you've cut it out, you've printed it on the back, or you've printed it on the back, you've cut it out, you've done real careful, or you've been real careful, and you've left all your instructions here together. Okay, so we've got folds, we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 towards the back side. Okay, so let's do that. Let me get out my scoreboard because that makes it easier. Yes, this is a paper trimmer. It's made by Fiskars. And the reason I like this paper trimmer, I use a different one for trimming paper. I used to use this one. I love it. It's got a little wire in here that you can go by to cut papers. But it was, and you can open it out like this. So it makes a great paper trimmer. This piece comes out. Let me move this up. This piece comes out so you can change the blades. But it also comes with a paper trimmer, which is just a paper scorer, and that's just rounded, and all it does is it leaves that indentation in your paper, and so you can switch them out back and forth. Since I use a different paper trimmer, now I use a big ginormous rotary cutter, the one with the big double bars and all that. My paper trimmer weighs 6 pounds. Yeah, you get big muscles by using it. Anyway, so I use this one as a scoreboard, and I really like it because it's much easier than hand drawing in those little ridges. And it would be worth probably the $25 or so that this paper trimmer is to have a really nice scoreboard that's easy to use and makes accurate lines. That's just me. Versus using your scoreboard and your, not this bone folder, but your skinny bone folder, or let's see if I've got one. I don't know if I even have one over here. Yes, I do. Or using one of these with the rounded points that you make the dots on the mandala rocks with and things like that. You can use them for that as well. I like just spinning it and looking at it. I don't really use it for anything because I use this now. You can also use your bone folder, you know, and go along the line and make the indentation. If so, you're much better than I am, and you probably don't need to watch this part of the video. So what you're going to do is you're going to score right where the cream color meets the green color. Okay, so we're going to make a score line here. Then we're going to do the same thing here where the green meets the tan. We'll make a score line. And again, oopsie, not getting caught in the wire. Okay, and one more. You're going to have 4. You're basically just going to go around the cream colored square. I mean rectangle. Have I been saying square the whole time? Probably. I meant rectangle. Okay. So now the directions say to fold everything towards the inside. So let's do that. It says 1, 2, 3, and 4. We get 1, 2, 3, and 4. We've scored it so we know how to, we can fold it easily. Now, what I would do actually is I would ink this first. I'm going to use gathered twigs on all of these. So now inking these, you're going to ink the whole outside. Like so. And then you're going to ink even more once you get going here, but you don't have to ink everything on the back. You only have to ink where this line's going to be, where the fold is going to be, and around the inside top, which is going to be the flap. Now, if you look at this, another thing is when you look at this, you can see that there's a kind of a fancy end and then a rectangular rounded end. And this is going to be your inside bottom, and this is going to be your flap. So think fancy flap, right? Regular, rounded. In most cases, you'll see in a couple of others that it's not quite that way, but with most of these like this, it's easier to remember that way. Okay, so we've got this inked all the way around. Let's go ahead and fold everything inward. So we fold this in on the score line, and then we fold this one in on the score line. I'm going to fold this one up on the score line. And then we're going to fold this one down on the score line. You can see that now we have a nice little envelope that we can decorate. Now all we have to do is figure out what we're going to glue. What do we glue? What do we glue? The easiest way for me, now she's got you gluing the inside edges part of the way up. I find it easier to just glue this up to where the rounded part is and then fold it up onto here, because just guessing here how far this is going to go or making a little mark, it's easier for me just to glue this. The directions say to do it the other way. Either way is fine. Either way will work. Oops. Trying not to drop your glue. That's key. If you want to hear a good station, like radio station kind of, and you like classic rock, listen to station 553 on Sirius XM. It's the top 1000 classic rock. It's really good. So you can see I glued it. I didn't really glue the rounded part, because then once again you'd be like, well, how far do I go? So now we've got our envelope, and we still have more inking to do, because as of right now all we have are these outside edges inked. So now we're going to, I don't know why my voice is shaky. I got my COVID, my flu, and my RV, whatever that is, shot all at once. Now, maybe that wasn't the smartest thing to do, because I have been sick for the last 3 days. But I'm writing down my voice being quivery for that. So we're going to ink around the rectangle, because basically that's the front of your envelope. So you're going to want to ink around that. You're going to do that on the front, and you're going to do that on the back right here. And this is already inked on the back. You've already done that. But then you need to take this and fold it back. So there's your flap there. Fold it back and lightly run this across here, just so you've got a little mark where the fold is. And then you're going to ink this on the inside as well. I hope this helps some of you that just kind of look at these envelopes and go, well, okay, envelope, how do you go together? I know that a lot of you will know how to do this, and that's fine and cool, but everybody's at a different level. And if nobody shows you how to do an envelope like this, then you might look at that big giant piece of paper and go, and not use it at all. So let's make sure that we can use everything that our wonderful designers have made for us. Okay, so that's done. All you have to do is figure out whether you want to put a little Velcro dot on there or not. Let's use the bone folder on it. Usually postcards fit in here. Postcard graphics that the designers make. There's not one in this particular kit, but all you have to do is put a piece of paper in there, a piece of stationery, make some stationery by, here's a great way, is print out one of these papers, something like this one, because that'd be beautiful, on a piece of coffee dyed paper. And then it looks like stationery, or you can use vellum as well. Now, the paper that I'm using, I forgot to mention, is 65-pound cardstock. It's made by a company called Neenah, N-E-E-N-A-H, and it's got what's called a vellum finish. It's not vellum, it's got a vellum finish. And this is the only company in weight that I know of that this particular type of paper comes in, and I love the feel of it. The texture of the paper is different. It doesn't feel coarse like regular cardstock. It's up to you. You can use whatever you want. I know a lot of people like the 32-pound, 31-pound, whatever it is. And I think 21 is way too thin, but that's typing paper. But of course, depending on what you're going to do with it, then that's what, paper that you will use. Sometimes on cards like just a card, I'll use 110 cardstock, 110-pound cardstock, because it's thicker and heavier, and it gives the tag a little more sturdiness. Okay, so we've got that all inked. We've used the bone folder on it, and unless you want to put a little Velcro dot right there, you're all ready to go. And see how pretty that is printed on the inside. I just happened to get lucky and the pine branch comes out right there. Also, you can't really see them on here, and I forgot to point them out. Let me see if you can see it on this one. Here's one. Now, these are printed borderless, so I didn't have to trim them. So, it's a little different if you have the white border around. Do this before you cut anything off, and as your paper comes off the printer like this, mark that front right corner with just a little pencil mark, especially on your borderless, just a little pencil mark or a little pencil mark on the white part of the page. On each one, just mark the top one, take the stack out, and then lift each one and mark it. Then you know which way it came out. If your printer doesn't do double-sided printer and you have to turn around and put the paper back in. That way you don't get it all turned around. Then when you're done and you're ready to use the paper, you just erase that little tiny pencil mark. That's just a tip. Okay, so now we're back to these coin envelopes or seed envelopes. Sometimes they're called seed envelopes. They're put together the same way. Now we're going to make some score lines on this as well. We're only going to do one. I like them both. I like the Santa Clauses. They match the Santa Clauses that are the fussy cuts. And I did those on my scan and cut, by the way. I did not fussy cut out the Santa Clauses. Let's ink it first, as much as we can. Once again, we're going to have to ink this after we're done folding it as well. There'll be edges that we'll have that we can't get at right now. They're not edges yet. They haven't been born. They haven't been born into an edge yet. And again, on this one, you will only have to ink. Now, the rounded part is going to be your top, and the square is going to be the bottom. So think fancy, fold, rounded, regular. So this is going to be the flap, and this is going to be the bottom. All right. So now on this one, on the back, maybe I should have printed a little bit lighter color. You're just going to have to ink this part right here, Now I'm going to go ahead and ink. This one folds a little bit different. So I'm going to ink the whole back actually. Let's just do that. Then we'll take a look at some different ways that we can use those papers instead of cutting them all apart into individual cards. And also the tags. We can do some different things with the tags too, other than just cut them out into individual tags. Okay, so we've got it inked this far. Now we're going to get our scoreboard out again. And once again, we're going to do the same thing. Where the pictures change, right here, where the picture changes, we're going to score it right there. We're going to score it along here, see where the flower ends or the plant ends. There's a difference in, it's slight, but there's a difference in the color and in the pattern. And there's one at the top as well. And then now this one, you score here and here. Okay, so let's do that. And the directions tell you that. But sometimes, like I said, it's easier if somebody shows you once or twice. You can always rewind and watch it again, because I know you love my voice. Especially when my allergies have kicked in and I sound like a gnome or something. Terry, Queen of the Gnomes. All right, now you have to kind of look at this. It's going to be where this rounded part ends and that rounded part ends, and it should line up across. It also should be even with this big long part right here. So that should be where you're at. So let me line that up. I do tend to get these a little crooked. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. And we already did that. Okay, so now on this, it's much easier than it looks. You fold this one in. Okay, then you fold this one in. And you see already you've got like a tube right there. You've got like a burrito. Okay? And then this is going to fold up. The bottom folds up. Now, a lot of times this will go on the outside, but in this particular case, because of the picture, I think I'm going to do it on the inside, which is probably not the way it's supposed to go. But I really like that picture like that, so I think I'm going to leave it that way. So don't do as I do as I say, which is put the bottom flap on the outside. Well, I'll put it on the outside so that we glue it correctly. Actually, I think this one is meant to be on the inside because of the solid color. So all you have to do is glue this and this, and that will seal the whole thing up. Pretty cool, huh? We'll fold this. This is our top, or our top flap. See, I made a little nick in the cutting there. So we're going to put glue on here, and that was our bottom, remember? Sometimes they're square. Then we're going to ink our little fold over, or we're going to glue it. We're not going to ink it. We've already inked it. And then we're just going to fold it together like so. Make sure it's all lined up. Okay, now I think I was off just a little bit with my scoring. I'm going to use this. This is a Teflon bone folder from Craft Treat, CRAFTREAT, so it's not two T's in there. And I got it on Amazon for a couple of bucks. It's Teflon, so nothing sticks to it. You can scrape it right off if, you know, glue or whatever gets on it. And it's got a nice couple of edges here. And then you've got a square edge and a rounded edge. So I'm not trying to sell it to you. I'm just telling you the tools that I'm using. So now once again, we're going to need to ink around the back and the front, around the rectangle. I like this one a lot. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. I'm going to fold this back very lightly, go across. We're going to go across up here. I'm going to turn it around and we're going to go all the way around the rectangle. Because this was in the middle before we folded it. I was off just a little bit. Homemade. Handmade. Now, I can take this and trim that little notch. And then it'll be alright. Everything will be alright. So now you've got this one done. Okay, so you've gotten this one done, ready to decorate. And you've gotten this one done. And even with me explaining, it was 20 minutes. So now let's go on and talk about something I have a lot. What is my glue doing? Fabri-Tac hardly ever does that in these little bottles. A volcano going on there. Something that bothers me or messes me up all the time, and that's a library pocket. I know what they, I mean, they're, as far as just what they end up looking like and how you should do it, it seems pretty straightforward. But the problem is they always make a fancy picture all the way down, and then you put the pocket on it and it covers it. So I haven't quite figured that one out. And then you usually get two pockets, and I'm assuming that means you can pick. So let's cut out the back. Think of the holder that's glued inside of the library card or library book that holds that card with all the with the writing on it and where they stamp when you're going to return it, you know, back when they used to do all that. Wonder if there are libraries that still do that. It's hard for me. My kids always used to say library. So it's kind of hard for me to say it correctly. Sometimes I forget. So if I say library card, just ignore me. Okay. And I think I will use I don't know. Let's quickly cut them out. This is the only time that I ever hardly use the flaps and make the gusseted edge pockets, because they make it too deep for me and everything falls out. You know, I can never fill it with enough stuff. So you cut these out like so. I don't know if I want the busy, you know, and these glue onto your page, so you don't really need both. Something you could do to be different would be to glue one on the front and one on the back, and I think I probably should have cut this one out. And this is one that's a little hard to follow by the directions that anyone gives. But you're basically folding the 3 sides in to make a gusseted pocket, and a gusset is just the edge that makes it stick out and gives you more room inside of the pocket or the folder or whatever it is you're making and that you're putting a gusset on. Sometimes it's just a score line. Sometimes it's a whole folded flap like this. The dark green area is the gusset area, and that'll be the part that we fold back. Okay, so now I'm going to try to do this without a scoreboard and see if I can get it to go. Sometimes I can do these. It's off just a little bit. I do both ends and then kind of get the middle. If you use a scoreboard, then you're pretty much guaranteed to get it perfect. If you don't, then you get a little touch of green, like I did. Now we're going to ink around the edge after it's folded. That's why I wasn't worried too much about that little bit of green. And then we're going to take this pocket, and we're unfortunately going to glue it over the top of these. And we're just going to glue all 3 sides and put it right on there, waiting for our library card. Easy peasy. Let's do that. Now, somebody let me know if for some reason I'm doing this incorrectly, because I'm always unsure on these. I do like this green paper a lot because it looks like it was paintbrushed on a canvas. The green was paint, and it was painted on a canvas. Now I did print on the back of this page, even though 2 parts of it were pockets, but 1 part is not. And even though you're probably going to glue that to a page, I printed the back just in case. You never know. Not every situation is the same. I guess I should ink this first. And then we just line this up on here. And then this is your library pocket. Okay, so it's just a pocket on the front of a rectangle, basically. Library pocket. So this is an extra pocket for you to use. I've already cut out the other pockets and I paper clipped them together. Half go this way on your page and half will angle this way. They're also gusseted. Most of the time, like I said, I just cut the gussets off and use them as flat pockets. It's just my own preference. Now, here's some different ways you can look at the tags and cards and things. You can just cut it out like a tag. Where'd you go? Where did you go, tag? Like a tag. Okay? Printed the front, you've printed the back, you're going to ink it and maybe stamp on the back or stencil on the back, something on the back, and then you'll be good to go. Maybe write something on here. Some of you may be brave and take your straight edge and cut this area out. You can do that as well. You can punch a hole and put a ribbon through it, or a string, or anything you want. You can put an eyelet on it and put a bulb pin and a charm and a ribbon on there. Plenty of different things you can do with your flat tag. Okay, so there's that. Now remember, on the page there were four across. Yeah, 4 across and 4 down. So another way you can do it, it was on the page like this. Another way you can do it, that's not very good. I pretend like my paper cutting is better. I didn't trim it after I folded it. I folded it in half and then I didn't cut it. You know, go back and cut them at the same time so that they look the same. So anyway, I just folded this in half the long way and made a flip down out of it. Okay, so this is the way it was on the paper, and then this is the way I will use it as in a pocket, as a flip down with area to write. You can glue pieces of coffee dyed paper in there. We'll do all kinds of different stuff. We'll look at some of the different things that we can do in video 2. Now, I also cut it out long ways so that it opens like a little book. So this is 2 tags that I didn't cut apart. And of course, all this would be inked and everything. And I just made it like a little booklet. Now, here's one cut out by itself. Here's the same thing cut into 2 so that it folds like this. And then here's the same thing cut in 3 parts. We're going to make a trifold out of it. Now I think I'm going to score this one. And then the inking will take care of that white area that normally would have been cut when you cut them apart. So I'm going to score it there. And now you'll see in a minute, we're going to probably have to do one extra little step instead of just folding them. And if you think about it, you'll probably know what it is. So we've got the score marks. We just fold this one in, and then we fold this one over, and then oops, it doesn't work because you can't have them all the same size and have them fold the correct way. So the one that you want to have on the inside, you need to cut just a smidge shorter, and then everything will line up for you. Okay, then you can go back and touch up any trimming that you want to cut up, trim out that you had cut. It's kind of hard to cut 3 of those exactly the same. And then you're going to ink everything. You're going to ink your little heart out. So you're going to ink all across here, up and down and all around. All around the outside. Then you're going to need to fold this, and once again, just like with the envelopes, we're just going to do a light little line just so that when you have it open, you know that the fold is there. And we're going to ink the inside. And now, of course, I'm going to show you in the next video some different things we can do on the inside. And so you'll just ink this up here like this, just like we did the front. Maybe a little bit better because I'm kind of going in a hurry. And then you're going to fold that back. Now remember, this is on the inside, so I don't like it very dark at all. So I just barely go across there. And you see it makes that little line. And then I think the light colored one went in first, and then the dark green one. And now see, I'm going to trim that so that they're all the same height as well. They're a little crooked. See, like here, and then I'll have to ink it again. I guess I should have trimmed it first. And then across the bottom, you can see they don't all match. So I'm just going to cut that off. So then I'll just ink the bottom again. Okay? These I cut, instead of cutting them into little cards, I cut them out so that I could fold them in half and make bigger cards out of them. And then this one, you can make a flip down like we did before. Or I think I'm just going to make a second card like that one. And that's the same with these, so I'm not going to do that again. And this large one. Here's the file folder. And this is just as simple as the others. You just fold it in half. And this rounded part, you know, lines up with this. The easiest way to do it is when you fold it, you just make this line up with that. If you ink it first, it's easier to see what you're doing. But you basically just fold the piece of paper in half, lined up, just like you would fold any other piece of paper in half with it all lined up. That's pretty. And then there's the cardinal there, which you can put one of the fussy cuts on the inside here. You can put a word or whatever. We'll take a look at that in the next video. This one is a little bit different. It's got a gusset again. This one has a, instead of being a pocket with a gusset, it's a card with a gusset. And it makes a little folder. And you can make a little folio out of it. Okay, so we're going to score it on this brown line. We're going to slide it over. We're going to score it on this brown line. And that's going to give us a spine, which is basically what a gusset is in this particular case. Then with this spine, you fold it on one of them. You see it's not lined up. It's not supposed to be. Well, it's supposed to be lined up here. I guess I got a little fold happy. And then we're going to fold it on the other gusset. Okay, and line your paper up. And then you'll end up with like a little book cover. So we'll take a look at what this looks like after it's inked and what we can do with it in video 2. That's where we're going to work with all of these things that we've just made. Okay? Alrighty, well that's it for this video. See, it looks like this. That's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video, and that will be just a second for you and a day for me. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.